Have you ever wondered what truly happens in a woman's heart when she loses a good man? Not just any man, but the one who loved her, protected her, and gave her a sense of safety in a world that can feel so cold. The truth is, when a good man walks away, something inside her breaks. She might smile, she might pretend to be fine, she might even act as if she's happier without him. But deep down, she feels the weight of what is gone. Because a good man is rare. He is more than just someone who showed up for her. He is someone who gave her consistency, loyalty, and presence. And losing that is like losing a part of herself. In the beginning, she might distract herself, posting pictures, going out, trying to convince herself and everyone else that she's okay. But psychology tells us that when someone loses a source of emotional security, the mind does not simply move on. It replays the connection over and over, trying to make sense of the loss. Her heart begins to whisper what her pride doesn't want to say. That what she had was special. That she may never find that same feeling again. And that realization grows louder with time. When a woman loses a good man, she doesn't just lose his presence, she loses the version of herself that existed when she was with him. The woman who felt cared for. The woman who felt chosen. The woman who felt safe enough to let her guard down. Suddenly she is left facing silence, facing memories, and facing herself. That is why this moment is so powerful, because it forces her to look at what she had, what she lost, and why it mattered so much. This is why you should stay here and listen carefully, because understanding this is not about blaming her or taking revenge. It's about reclaiming your power, about remembering your worth, about realizing that if you were a good man who gave your best, your value does not disappear just because someone failed to hold on to you. You need to hear this so you never shrink yourself, so you never question your worth, so you never let loss turn into self-hate. By the end of this message, you will not only understand what happens in her heart, you will feel a surge of strength within your own. You will see why holding your frame matters, why becoming a man of value is the greatest decision you can ever make, and why the one who walked away may one day remember you as the best thing that ever happened to her. This is your moment to rise, to stop doubting yourself, and to stand firm in the truth that good men are not replaceable. If you stay with me, you will walk away with more clarity, more confidence, and a deeper understanding of the power you hold. When the reality finally begins to sink in, the emotional storm inside her gets stronger. She feels it in waves. One moment she is angry, the next she is sad, then guilty, then numb. This is not weakness. This is the mind and heart processing a loss they can't easily replace. She replays conversations, remembers moments when you stood by her, and thinks about the times she may have taken you for granted. The truth is that losing a good man leaves an empty space, and that space cannot be filled with distractions. It stays there, asking questions, forcing her to face what really happened. This emotional roller coaster can feel exhausting. It keeps her awake at night, thinking about what she said, what she did, and what she could have done differently. Psychologists call this rumination, the mind's way of trying to fix the past. But the past is unchangeable, and that is why the pain grows sharper. Every memory becomes more valuable in hindsight. Every act of kindness becomes clearer. Every sacrifice you made becomes harder to ignore. What once felt normal now feels extraordinary, because she finally sees how rare that kind of love truly was. She might try to convince herself she made the right choice, tell herself that losing you was necessary, but the heart doesn't work that way. The heart knows when it had something real, and deep down, even through the noise of pride and ego, she feels the ache of what she let slip away. Regret becomes a quiet voice that whispers in moments of stillness, when she's alone, when the world is quiet, when no one else is around to distract her. This emotional battle can lead her to search for answers outside herself, through validation, attention, or even rushing into something new. But none of it feels the same. None of it carries the depth, the stability, or the peace that came with you. And with every failed attempt to replace that feeling, she learns another hard truth. that not all men are the same, that not all love is created equal, that what she lost is not easy to find again. For you, this is a moment to rise above your own pain and see the bigger picture. You are not just watching her emotional journey, you are watching the proof of your value play out in real time. You were not ordinary, and her struggle to move on is evidence of that. Instead of letting her regret pull you back into the past, let it remind you that you were, and still are, worthy of respect and love. This is where you choose to grow stronger, where you refuse to be broken by loss, and where you decide to become even more of the man she could not keep. Every wave of her regret is not just about her. It is a message to you that good men are rare and powerful, and if you stay committed to your growth, to your purpose, and to your self-respect, you will turn this pain into fuel. You will rise above the chaos, stand in your truth, and become unshakable. That is the reward of staying strong through the storm, the creation of a man who can no longer be shaken by who stays or who leaves. What follows is the quiet comparison that no one talks about. Every man she meets after you becomes a mirror, a measuring stick against the standard you set. She notices the difference in the smallest ways, the way he listens, the way he shows up, the way he handles pressure. And with every comparison she sees more clearly what she lost. A good man leaves an imprint that cannot be erased, because his presence was not just physical, it was emotional, spiritual, and consistent. You became a reference point for what respect, love, and loyalty feel like, and that memory does not fade just because time passes. Psychology shows that the human brain builds strong emotional associations with people who provide safety and care. When that person is gone, the brain subconsciously looks for someone who can recreate that same sense of security. But when she realizes that others cannot, frustration grows. Disappointment sets in. What used to feel ordinary now feels irreplaceable. This is when the regret deepens, not just as a passing thought, but as a constant realization that the bond she once had is no longer available. And the truth is, this comparison is not about perfection. No man is perfect. It is about the way you made her feel, the way you gave her peace of mind, the way she could rely on you without question. That is rare in a world full of empty promises and surface-level connections. When a good man leaves, it is not just a breakup, it is the loss of emotional safety. And that kind of loss leaves a mark that no distraction can erase. This is where your strength becomes your advantage. While she is comparing, you are building. While she is searching, you are growing. While she is looking backward, you are moving forward. This is not to make her feel worse, but to make you remember your value. Because too many men break under the weight of rejection, forgetting that they are the prize, forgetting that their presence is a gift, forgetting that their consistency is a privilege few ever experience. You are not meant to sit in the past, replaying every memory and pain. You are meant to use this as proof that you are not ordinary, that what you bring to the table matters, and that not everyone deserves access to it. When you hold yourself to this standard, you stop seeking validation from those who let you go. You start demanding alignment, respect, and mutual effort from everyone who wants to be in your life. This is how you turn comparison into power. Every time she remembers you, every time she measures someone else against you, it is a reminder of who you are. Let that fuel you. Let that push you toward becoming even stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than you were before. Because the man who grows through loss is the man who becomes impossible to forget, not just for her, but for everyone who crosses his path. Then comes the moment that changes everything, the moment of truth. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is quiet and undeniable. It happens when she stops fighting her feelings, stops running from the weight of what happened, and finally faces the reality that the man she lost was not just good, he was rare. This is where the heart feels heavy, where the tears that were once held back start to fall, and where the truth cannot be denied anymore. She sees him not through the lens of anger or pride, but through clarity, and that clarity is both beautiful and painful. This realization hits hardest because it strips away all the excuses. It removes the stories she told herself to feel better, and it leaves only the truth, that she had something valuable and she let it go. Psychologists call this the acceptance phase, when the mind finally stops negotiating with the past. There are no more what-ifs, no more mental games, no more pretending she didn't care. The pain becomes pure, honest, and unfiltered. And with that pain comes the deepest level of understanding she has ever had about herself and what she truly wants. For her, this can feel like a turning point, a breaking open of the heart that humbles her completely. Gratitude begins to mix with regret. She remembers the moments of kindness, the times she felt safe, the times she was truly loved. She can't escape the reality that those moments mattered, and that they shaped her. It is in this place of deep reflection that she realizes just how much she underestimated him, how much she underestimated what they had, and that realization can be haunting. For you, this moment should not be seen as a victory over her, but as proof of your strength. You were not a temporary chapter in her story. You were a defining one. You were a man who gave your best, who stood in your integrity, and who left a mark that cannot be erased. And now, as she feels this truth, you have a choice. You can hold on to bitterness and let her pain feed your ego, or you can take this as a sign that what you bring to the world matters, and that your standard must stay high. This moment of realization is also your invitation to clarity. Just as she is seeing the truth about what she lost, you must see the truth about what you are capable of becoming. Pain is a powerful teacher, but only if you allow it to transform you. This is where you rise, where you step fully into your power, where you understand that being a good man is not just about love. It is about living with purpose, with discipline, with strength that inspires respect. When you embrace this, you stop looking back for validation and start building a future where you never have to question your worth again. Pain like this does not leave someone unchanged. It becomes a teacher, forcing growth that comfort never could. When she loses a good man, she is confronted with her own patterns, her own choices, and the ways she may have sabotaged something meaningful. This is where self-reflection begins to dig deep. Questions that were once too uncomfortable to face now demand answers. Why did she take him for granted? Why did she push him away? Why did she fail to appreciate what she had when it was right in front of her? Psychology shows that emotional pain triggers a search for meaning. The mind wants to know why something happened so it can avoid the same mistake in the future. For her, this means reevaluating what she values, what she tolerates, and how she shows up in love. It is not easy to face the mirror and admit that she played a role in losing someone who genuinely cared. But that discomfort is what plants the seed of transformation. Growth is rarely gentle. It feels like being broken apart before being put back together. But this process shapes her into someone who sees love differently, who values loyalty more, who no longer confuses a good man's patience with weakness. Every tear, every restless night, every moment of regret becomes part of her education. And though she may wish she could undo the past, what she learns now becomes the foundation for how she will treat the next meaningful connection in her life. For you, this should be a reminder that the loss was never the end of your story. It was a chapter designed to reveal more of who you are. While she is learning hard lessons, you are being called to step into a higher version of yourself as well. This is your time to build your purpose, to sharpen your discipline, to strengthen your mind and body, to become the kind of man who not only commands respect, but who inspires it naturally. When both people grow from pain, the loss is no longer just a tragedy, it becomes a turning point. And even if the relationship never comes back, the lessons will stay forever. You will walk differently, carry yourself differently, and choose differently. This is the real power of heartbreak. It either breaks you or builds you. You get to decide which one it will be. Choose to let it build you. Choose to let it turn you into a man who cannot be taken for granted again. Choose to become someone who sets the standard so high that only the right people can meet it. When you do this, pain stops being something that holds you back and starts being the fire that forges you into the strongest, most grounded version of yourself. That is how growth turns loss into power. With growth comes an undeniable urge for redemption. When the lessons have sunk in and the weight of regret becomes too heavy, she feels compelled to reach out, to say something, to somehow make it right. It may start as a simple thought, a quiet wondering about where you are and how you are doing. But the thought grows, turning into a need for closure, a need to know she hasn't completely lost the bridge between you. This is human nature. The mind craves resolution, the heart craves connection, and when there is unfinished business, it pushes for a chance to heal it. She might send a message, a short one at first, carefully chosen, as if every word has the power to undo the past. She might check your profile, look for signs that you are still the man she remembers, still the man she hopes hasn't changed too much. And if she doesn't reach out, she will think about it. The temptation will be there, whispering in the quiet moments. Because when you lose someone valuable, there comes a point when the silence becomes unbearable, and the need to know if they still think of you becomes stronger than pride. But this is where timing changes everything. By the time she feels this urge, you may have already stepped into a different version of yourself. You may have healed, grown, and built a new life that no longer revolves around what was lost. This is where the true test of strength comes. Do you open the door just because she knocks, or do you hold your frame and protect the man you have become? Psychology reminds us that seeking redemption is often more about easing one's own pain than rebuilding what was broken. That is why you must be clear about your reasons before letting anyone back into your life. Is it because they have truly changed, or because they simply miss the comfort of who you used to be? This is your moment to show that you are no longer the man who will settle for half-effort love, for lukewarm commitment, for words without actions to back them up. When you stand firm, when you choose yourself first, you send a message, not just to her, but to yourself. You declare that your value is not negotiable, that your heart is not a revolving door, and that your growth was not in vain. If reconciliation happens, it happens from a place of strength, not desperation. And if it doesn't, you walk away knowing you honored your journey and protected your future. This is where redemption takes its true form, not in trying to go back to what once was, but in becoming someone who cannot be broken by what happened. When you reach this place, even her attempts to reconnect cannot shake you, because you no longer need validation from the past. You are already living proof that you turned pain into power, and that is the most liberating redemption of all. When you reach the point where nothing from the past can shake your sense of worth, you become untouchable. The power shifts completely, because the moment you no longer need someone's validation, you reclaim control over your life. This is where confidence becomes unshakable, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet, grounded certainty that you are enough exactly as you are. You no longer fear losing anyone because you understand you were never lost without them. That realization is magnetic. It changes how you walk, how you speak, how you show up in every situation. People notice it. They feel it before you even say a word. This is why personal growth is so attractive. It isn't about proving anything to someone else. It's about becoming so aligned with your own value that others can't help but respect it. You stop chasing, you stop convincing, you stop begging for recognition because you finally see that everything you were seeking outside of yourself was already within you. This shift forces others to rise to your level or get left behind. It's not revenge, it's evolution. When she sees this version of you, it's not just nostalgia that pulls her back, it's curiosity and respect. She sees a man who chose strength over bitterness, discipline over chaos, growth over stagnation. That kind of transformation makes people rethink every decision they made about you. They remember the moments they doubted you, the times they underestimated you, and they can't help but feel drawn to the energy you now radiate. This is the moment where life rewards you for enduring the pain without letting it break you. But this power also comes with responsibility. It's easy to let pride take over, to enjoy the attention and validation, but the real victory lies in staying grounded. You must stay focused on your purpose, on your standards, on the future you are building. Your life cannot revolve around proving a point to someone who once doubted your worth. The ultimate goal is to live in such a way that whether they come back or not, your path remains clear and unstoppable. This level of self-mastery transforms how you handle every relationship, not just the one that hurt you. You set boundaries without fear, you communicate with clarity, and you refuse to settle for anything less than what aligns with your highest self. You attract people who respect your standards because you no longer lower them for temporary comfort. And when she does return, if she does, you will face her not as the man who was left behind, but as the man who outgrew the pain. Whether you welcome her back or close that door forever, the choice will be yours. And that is the true power you were meant to claim. This is where you stop living for someone else's approval and start living as the strongest, most authentic version of yourself. That is the moment everything changes, because you have become the person who no longer just survives heartbreak, but turns it into the very thing that built an unshakable life. Strength is not just about holding it together when everything feels heavy. It's about choosing who you become because of what happened. Pain will either harden you or sharpen you, and the choice belongs to you. If you let bitterness take over, you stay trapped in the cycle of hurt. If you use it as fuel, you rise above the very circumstances that tried to keep you down. This is where real transformation begins. Not when life gets easier, but when you become stronger than the situation. The most powerful people you know aren't those who never felt pain. They are the ones who allowed pain to teach them discipline, patience, and resilience. Every sleepless night, every moment of self-doubt, every tear you shed was not wasted. Those moments were shaping you, molding you into someone who can no longer be shaken by the same things that once broke you. This is why growth hurts, because it forces you to let go of who you used to be so you can step into the person you were meant to become. This is where many people give up. They run back to what hurt them because it feels familiar. They settle for less because it feels safe. But not you. You're not here to repeat the past. You're here to rise from it. You're here to turn that heartbreak into a standard so high that you will never again tolerate. Half love, half effort, or half respect. You are here to create a life so full, so abundant, so strong, that it becomes impossible for anyone to make you question your worth again. When you make this choice, everything shifts. Your body language changes, your energy changes. The way you carry yourself becomes unrecognizable compared to the version of you that was left behind. You stop asking why it happened and start asking what you can build because it happened. This is the turning point where pain no longer controls you. You control it. And the truth is, this is what people find magnetic. Not the fake confidence, not the forced indifference, but the quiet, undeniable glow of someone who has rebuilt themselves from the ground up. That glow cannot be faked, and it cannot be ignored. It commands respect. It commands attention. It commands the world to treat you differently because you have treated yourself differently first. This is why she feels it so deeply when she sees you again. Not because you tried to get her attention, but because your transformation speaks louder than words. It reminds her of what she lost, but more importantly, it reminds you of what you gained. This is no longer about proving anything to her. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of becoming someone extraordinary. Every step forward from this moment is a declaration that you will never again be broken by the same thing twice. You are no longer the man who simply survived. You are the man who rose, who rebuilt, who refused to be defined by loss. That is the power she feels. That is the energy that changes everything. And that is the beginning of a life where your value is no longer negotiable. When you finally realize that your worth was never tied to who stayed or who left, you begin to breathe differently. There is a freedom in knowing that someone else's decision no longer has the power to define your identity. You stop living in reaction to loss and start living in alignment with purpose. This is the kind of shift that transforms pain into power. It takes you from feeling like a victim of circumstances to becoming the architect of your own future. You no longer wait for someone to choose you. You choose yourself every single day. This is where strength begins to feel natural. You wake up with a deeper sense of clarity, a quiet conviction that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Every small action becomes an act of self-respect. The way you speak to yourself changes. The way you treat your goals changes. You stop wasting energy on what you can't control and pour it into what you can build. And little by little, you notice the difference. Your mind grows calmer. Your heart grows lighter. Your path becomes clearer. And people notice this shift before you even tell them about it. They see it in the way you hold eye contact, the way you no longer shrink yourself, the way you move with certainty. That certainty is attractive because it is rare. Most people live their lives running from their pain, covering it with distractions or pretending it doesn't exist. But you faced it, you turned toward it, you let it strip away your ego and show you who you really are. That takes courage most will never find, and that is why your energy feels different now. When she feels this, it hits her on a level she cannot ignore. She remembers the man you used to be, the one who questioned his value, who struggled to find balance after the pain. And now she sees a man who has transformed, not because you wanted her back, but because you demanded more from yourself. That is when the dynamic flips completely. She no longer sees someone who needs her. She sees someone who has outgrown needing anyone's validation. That is powerful, and it makes her reflect on what she lost. But this is where you must stay focused. Your growth is not about winning anyone back. It's about winning yourself back. You cannot allow the return of someone from the past to pull you back into old patterns. Your standards must remain high. Your path must remain forward, because the goal was never to make her regret leaving. The goal was to build a life so strong, so meaningful, so full of purpose, that her decision no longer has the power to shake you. This is the kind of transformation that inspires others. It shows what is possible when a man refuses to let heartbreak define him. It shows that pain is not the end, but the beginning of a greater chapter. It shows that you are capable of becoming someone you never imagined, someone stronger, wiser, and more alive than before. And that is when you stop merely surviving and start truly living, not to prove anything, but to fully embody the man you were always meant to be.